First order of business is roll call. The clerk will unlock the roll and the members will record themselves present. Have all members recorded their presence?
Is Anders here? Pants, okay. Pants. Collins, got it. Okay.
The clerk will lock the count, record the roll. The roll call shows 64 present, 6 absent and excused. A quorum being present, the House is ready for business. The House will now advance to the second order of business, prayer by the chaplain, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Today's the prayer will be led by House Chaplain Pastor Tom, and the pledge will be led by House Page Brady Gashler. Will the guests in the gallery please rise?
We got an anonymous quote today. The urgency of the day is only felt by people who recognize that time flitters by very quickly. Let's pray. Our blessed Heavenly Father, when we take an inventory of our lives, we recognize how fast our lives go before us. Sometimes, O Lord, it feels like we just had a birthday when the next one arrives. Thank you for giving us each day, and help us to use each day in a way that would encourage someone by an act of kindness or a word of knowledge. May we never lose sight of helping each other and helping the people of Idaho. Direct our thoughts, O Lord. May we be wise stewards of the time you give us. Strengthen our weaknesses and help us to stay focused on the mission of leading our great state. This is the day that you have made, O Lord. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The House will now advance to the third order of business, approval of the journal. The House is at the third order.
February 1st, 2013. Mr. Speaker, will your Committee on Judiciary Rules and Administration report that we have read and approved the House Journal of the 25th Legislative Day and recommend same be adopted as corrected. Moved by Wills, seconded by Burgoyne.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries and the report is adopted. The House will now advance to the fourth order of business, messages from the Governor and the Senate. The House is at the fourth order.
January 31st, 2013. Mr. Speaker, I return herewith enrolled House Bill 1, which has been signed by the President, Novak, Secretary of the Senate. January 31st, 2013. Mr. Speaker, I transmit herewith Senate Concurrent Resolution 102, which has passed the Senate, Novak, Secretary of the Senate.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 102 will be filed for first reading. House Bill number 1 will be referred to the Judiciary Rules and Administration Committee for delivery to the Governor. Without objection, the House will now advance to the fifth order of business, report of standing committees. The House is at the fifth order.
February 1st, 2013. Mr. Speaker, will your Committee on Judiciary Rules and Administration report that we have printed House Bills 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, and 88. Wills Chairman. January 31st, 2013. Mr. Speaker, will your Committee on Transportation and Defense report that we have had under consideration House Bills 39, 40, and 41 and recommend that they do pass? Palmer, Chairman. January 31st, 2013. Mr. Speaker, will your Committee on Judiciary, Rules, and Administration report that we have had under consideration House Resolution 2 and recommend that it do pass? Wills, Chairman. January 31st, 2013. Mr. Speaker, will your Committee on Business report that we have had under consideration House Bill 26, 27, 28, and 46 and recommend that they do pass? Henderson, Chairman.
House Bills 81, 82, 83, and 84 will be referred to the Education Committee. House Bill 85 will be referred to the Transportation and Defense Committee. House Bills 86, 87, and 88 will be referred to the Revenue and Taxation Committee. House Resolution number 2 and House Bills 26, 27, 28, and 46 will be filed for second reading. Without objection, the House will now advance to the seventh order of business, motions, memorials, and resolutions. The House is at the seventh order.
In the Senate, Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 102 by Agricultural Affairs Committee, a concurrent resolution stating findings of the legislature and urging the Republic of Turkey and the Turkish Patent Institute to honor Idaho's opposition and deny the request for registration of the applicant Beta Zerat v. Takarat AS to claim the mark Idaho for use in identification of products not originating in the state of Idaho.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 102 will be referred to the Ag Affairs Committee. Without objection, the House will now advance to the 8th order of business, introduction, first reading, and reference of bills and joint resolutions. The House is at the 8th order.
In the House of Representatives, House Bill Number 89 by Health and Welfare Committee, an act relating to the Physician Assistant Advisory Committee, amending Section 54-1807A to revise the rate of compensation for the members of the Physician Assistant Advisory Committee and declaring an emergency. House Bill Number 90 by Judiciary Rules and Administration Committee, an act relating to retail sale of liquor by the drink, amending Section 23903 Idaho Code to remove the prohibition on the transferability of certain licenses and to make technical corrections. House Bill Number 91 by Commerce and Human Resources Committee, an act relating to employment security law, amending Section 72-1316A Idaho Code to further define exempt employment and make a technical correction and declaring an emergency. House Bill Number 92 by Business Committee, an act relating to insurance holding company systems, repealing Chapter 38, Title 41 Idaho Code relating to the insurance holding company systems, amending Title 41 by the addition of a new Chapter 38, Title 41, to state the purpose, to define terms, to provide for investment of subsidiaries, to provide for the filing of statement prior to a merger or change in control of divestiture of controlling interests of domestic insurer, to provide for similar statement prior to any invitation for a tender offer of control, to provide for the approval or disapproval of a merger or to change the control and establish the procedure of hearings, to provide for notice of any hearing from the insurer to the shareholders, to provide registration of holding company systems by insurers, to provide for standards and management concerning transactions within an insurance holding company, to provide for guidance on determining the reasonableness of and adequacy of an insurer's surplus, to require advance notice of dividends and distributions, to provide management guidelines of domestic insurers, and to provide an exemption, to provide for confidential treatment of records and authorize the director to share such records, to provide for rulemaking authority, to authorize the director to seek injunctive relief, and to provide for limits on voting securities, to provide for sanctions, to authorize receivership, to authorize recovery of distributions, or authorize action against an insurer's certificate of authority, to provide for judicial review and to provide for mutual insurance holding companies, to provide for severability, amending Section 41-706 Idaho Code to provide correct code references and to make technical corrections, amending Section 41-714 and 715 Idaho Code to provide correct code references and to make corrections, amending Sections 41-731, 733, 901, 1702, 1951, 2857, 41-3312 to Idaho Code to provide a correct code reference and to make technical corrections, and amending Sections 41-4703 and 41-5203 to provide a correct code reference. House Bill Number 93 by Resources and Conservation Committee, an act relating to forest and range fires, amending Chapter 1, Title 38 Idaho Code by the addition of a new Section 38-104B to provide for nonprofit rangeland fire protection associations, to define a term, and to provide procedures.
House Bills 89 through 93 will be referred to Judiciary Rules and Administration for printing. Without objection, the House will now advance to the 10th order of business, second reading of bills and joint resolutions. The House is at the 10th order.
In the House of Representatives, House Bill 42 by State Affairs Committee regarding counties. House Bill 53 by State Affairs Committee regarding Bond Bank Authority. House Bill 58 by State Affairs Committee regarding lien withdrawal.
House Bills 42, 53, and 58 will be filed for third reading. Without objection, the House will now advance to the 11th order of business, third reading of bills and joint resolutions. The House is at the 11th order. The House will now have under consideration House Bill Number 11. Clerk may read.
In the House of Representatives, House Bill 11 by Business Committee, an act relating to casualty insurance contracts, amending Section 41-2507
The gentleman from District 2.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent to dispense with the third reading of this bill.
You've all heard the unanimous consent request. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the good gentleman has the floor.
Mr. Speaker, members of the House, I ask your consideration today on House Bill 11. House Bill 11 amends Idaho Code 41-2507. This code section specifies particular reasons why an insurance company must use for the cancellation or non-renewal of an insurance contract. The bill before you adds a new Section 9 that specifies, as to the renewal of the policy only, the insured automobile is registered in a jurisdiction other than Idaho. The need for this legislation arises from the problem of vehicles being moved or registered in jurisdictions other than the state of Idaho. Because insurance is specifically regulated in each state, an insurer must have a specified reason for either cancellation or non-renewal. In instances where a vehicle is moved outside the state and registered in another state, we do not have a particular code section to protect insurers. They are not licensed in these other jurisdictions, and at the same time, they have no codified protection for non-renewal. That puts the insurer company in the position where they have a dilemma. They cannot issue the policy, and at the same time, they cannot deny the policy. Without a license in the other state, the insurer is prohibited from continuing coverage, yet unable to discontinue the insurance coverage under current Idaho Code Section 41-2507. The Idaho Department of Insurance is aware of this legislation. To the best of my knowledge, there's no opposition. There's no fiscal impact in the state of Idaho. I request your vote and approval for House Bill 11, and I'll stand for any questions.
Is there further debate? The gentleman from District 23.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman from District 2, is it?
Number 2.
Yield to a question.
Will the gentleman from District 2 yield to a question?
I'll yield to a question.
The gentleman yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman from 2, is this only for companies that aren't licensed in the other jurisdiction? If they are licensed in both jurisdictions, such as Oregon and Idaho, and you lived in Ontario or Fruitland, and you're so close there that you want to keep the same agent, can the company can the company renew the policy if in fact they're licensed in both states, or are we saying they can't, period, if the registration's in the other state?
Gentleman from District 2.
Mr. Speaker, the gentleman from District 23 raises a good point. If the company is licensed in the other state, the issue simply does not arise. It's in instances where they are not licensed in the other state that they have the problem.
Thank you.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, the debate is closed. The question is, shall House Bill number 11 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the roll, and the members will record their votes. Have all members recorded their vote?
Wood 35.
Representative Wood, 35. Does any member wish to change their vote? The clerk will lock the count, record the vote. The roll shows 65 aye, 0 nay. House Bill number 11 has passed the House. Is there a correction to title? Hearing none, House Bill number 11 will be transmitted to the Senate. The House will now have under consideration House Bill number 24.
Mr. Speaker.
Good lady from District 33.
Mr. Speaker, I would ask for unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of this bill.
You've all heard the request. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the lady has the floor.
In 2009, House Bill 372 set up procedures for distributing sales tax revenue to the counties to fund elections. This distribution was in two parts, one based on population, and the other was a fixed 1/44th share. The bill also provided for adjustments to the amounts to be distributed based on a consumer price index. However, the bill was ambiguous about whether the adjustments applied to the portion based on population or the 1/44th share or both. Because the bill sponsor indicated that the intent was to adjust the proportion of this distribution based on population, the Sales Tax Commission adopted a temporary administrative rule providing for this adjustment. This bill will codify the provisions of the rule, and the bill has an emergency clause which will correspond with the expiration date of this temporary rule. There is no fiscal impact to this, and it did pass our committee with a due cost recommendation, so I would ask that it do the same on the floor today.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, the question is, shall House Bill 24 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will record their votes. Has every member voted?
We're going. Got it. Okay. Yeah, looks good.
The clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. The roll call shows 65 aye, 0 nay. House Bill 24 has passed the House. Is there correction to title? Hearing none, House Bill number 24 will be transmitted to the Senate. The House will now have under consideration House Bill number 25. The gentleman from District 15.
Mr. Speaker, I anonymously consent to dispense with the further reading of House Bill 25.
You all heard the unanimous consent request. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the good gentleman from District 15 has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill has 6 parts in it. Specifically adds requirements for taxing districts to include contact information when submitting documents for boundary changes or when forming. This will make it easier for the Tax Commission staff to communicate with such taxing districts when there are confusing elements in their documentation. Section 2 corrects a reference date that was inconsistent between the two statutes, homeowners exemptions and occupy tax. This will clear that up by making the dates consistent. Section 3 clarifies the requirements for abstract to include incitements value by category for property within urban renewal districts, revenue allocation areas. The information is needed to make sure that levies are set correctly. The abstract is a summary of property values by category. An example, residential improvement, residential land. All of the information being required is currently reported by each county, so there is no new requirements being imposed. Section 4 provides that appeal of recovery of improperly granted homeowners exemptions are made to the County Board of Equalizations rather than the county commissioners. This change is being made to ensure that taxpayers may further appeal the county's decision to the State Board of Tax Appeals. Under current law, the Board of Tax Appeal has refused to hear appeals from the county commissioners' decisions, so the change would ensure taxpayers' right to such an appeal. Section 5 ties filing deadlines to the circuit breaker property tax reduction program to IRS filing deadlines with respect to April 15th. In the past, the IRS has extended the April 15th date, causing confusion for circuit breaker claimants who were not similarly granted the extension. Section 6 and final extends the time for discovery for erroneous property tax levies. This pertains to levy errors of such failure to correctly assign property values to the proper taxing district or mathematical errors in levies calculations. Current law requires discovery by January 30th, which is only 5 days or so after the taxing districts receive first payment from the counties and are thereby likely to discover errors. The change gives taxing districts an additional 2 weeks within which to find such discoveries when they occur. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, good gentleman. Is there further debate? For what purpose does the gentleman from 23 rise?
To ask a question of the gentleman from
District 15.
16?
15.
15, excuse me.
Will the gentleman from District 15 yield to a question?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Gentleman from 15 on, I don't know which page it is, but it's B, and it changes the date from January 1st to April 15th for occupancy. I don't think we addressed that issue, and I'm wondering why they're extending such a long period of time for that issue from January 1st to April 15th. Is that to coincide with a tax year or something?
Good gentleman from District 15.
Mr. Speaker, gentleman from District 23, what's happening on that particular part, and that would be in Section 5, what they're doing is making April 15th the designated date, and if IRS extends it, then that date automatically goes with the IRS date, so the filings are consistent with one another.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, the debate is closed. The question is, shall House Bill 25 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the roll and the members will record their votes. Have all the members record their votes? Does anyone wish to change their vote? The clerk will lock the count, record the vote. The roll call shows 65 aye, 0 nay. House Bill 25 has passed the House. Is there correction to title? Hearing none, House Bill 25 will be transmitted to the Senate. The House will now have under consideration House Bill 52.
Mr. Speaker,
Good gentleman from District 31.
I ask unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of House Bill 52.
Without objection, the gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, good members of the House, in 2009, this body wisely and compassionately passed legislation allowing people with modest incomes to, if desired, defer taxes on their primary residences. Certain broad terms were used in that law, but not fully defined. The Board of Tax Appeals has since helped specify certain parameters, and this bill clarifies and codifies them to the benefit of all parties. I believe it is reasonable, prudent, and needed. It has unanimous support of the Revenue and Taxation Committee, and I ask for your support here as well. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there further debate? Hearing none.
Mr. Speaker.
Good gentleman from District 23.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hate to be a pain, but there's one area here that really concerns me.
For what purpose does the gentleman rise?
Would the gentleman from
District 31.
31 yield to a question?
Will the gentleman yield to a question?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman will yield.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The matter that concerns me here is the fact that, yes, Idaho and the Tax Commission agreed to this particular change, but those people that are involved in this particular issue were they allowed to testify at the committee meeting, or were they heard from in any way so that we know their feelings on the matter? Or are we just automatically doing this regardless of how, because there was some ambiguity, and do they understand what, you getting the idea? I want to make sure it's okay with John Q. Public on the issue. Was there any debate in that arena?
Gentleman from 31.
Mr. Speaker, it would be difficult for me to comment on what others know or felt. But the main issue here dealt with sufficient equity in their home, and whether that equity, which could be used to pay deferred taxes owed to the state, would be encumbered or eliminated by things like reverse mortgages or lines of credit with no limit. So the consideration here was that we would balance the needs of the state, which is the collection of the deferred taxes, versus the needs of the person, because we're giving them up to 80% of the equity value in their home to be encumbered and still qualify for the circuit breaker tax exemption.
Thank you,
Thank you.
gentleman.
Additional question, Mr. Speaker.
Will the gentleman yield further?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman
Thank
yielded.
you, gentleman from 31. This is going forward, is it not? It will not affect what has happened in the past because of the mix-up on the issues.
Gentleman from 31.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, that is correct.
Thank you.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, the question is, shall House Bill number 52 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the roll and the members will record their votes. Have all the members record their vote? Would any member care to change their vote? The clerk will lock the count, record the vote. The roll call shows 65 ayes, 0 nay. House Bill 52 has passed the House. Is there correction to title? Hearing none, House Bill 52 will be transmitted to the Senate. The House will now have under consideration House Bill number 32. The gentleman from District 2.
Mr. Speaker, I ask for unanimous consent to dispense with the third reading of this bill.
You've all heard the request. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the good gentleman has the floor.
Members of the House, I ask your consideration today for House Bill number 32. House Bill 32 amends Idaho Code Section 54-2305 by amending a new provision, Section 11, which states, to establish by rule the standards and requirements for the use of communication technology in the practice of psychology, including supervision. The purpose and the need for this bill arises from changes in electronic communication technology and their application in the practice of psychology. Technological advances drive a need for current regulations. The profession is advancing, and telepsychology is a means of expanding access to rural services and areas for this professional practice. It better serves the patients in Idaho. Many state associations are looking at these same issues. The authorization provided by this code section change will allow rules that consider best practice guidelines, public safety, and adopt new communication tools for practice. The Idaho Psychological Association and the Idaho Board of Psychologist Examiners collaborated in a task force to develop guidelines for practice in a document called Guidelines for Electronic Transmission and Telepsychology in the State of Idaho. This document has input from practitioners and regulators. The board seeks authority to proceed with rulemaking to adopt this new technology and afford more access to serve the public with mental health service needs. Rulemaking should expand accessibility in rural areas, allow services at critical times and under appropriate conditions. It should address security and confidentiality and address record keeping. The rules developed under this authorization will come back for our review and approval. This bill was recommended as a due pass by Health and Welfare. I request your vote in support of this, and I'll stand for any questions.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, the debate is closed. The question is, shall House Bill 32 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the roll and the members will record their votes. Have all the members voted?
Chu.
Would any member care to change their vote? The clerk will lock the count, record the vote. The roll call shows 65 aye, 0 nay. House Bill 32 has passed the House. Is there correction to title? Hearing none, the House Bill 32 will be transmitted to the Senate. The House will now have under consideration House Bill 33. Good gentleman from District 10.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. I ask unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of House Bill 33.
You've all heard the unanimous consent request. Is there an objection? Hearing none, the good gentleman from District 10 has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and members of the body. This bill today is brought on behalf of the Idaho State Occupational Therapy Licensure Board. This board is an independent licensing board served by the Bureau of Occupational Licenses. This bill makes a simple change to the limited permit issued by the board. The bill clarifies the duration of the permit as lasting 6 months and allows the board to extend the limited permit as appropriate. Existing language lacked objectivity and flexibility relating to this section. There has been no opposition to this bill, and there is no fiscal impact to the state of Idaho.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, the debate is closed. The question is, shall House Bill 33 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will record their votes. Have all the members voted? Would any member care to change their vote? The clerk will lock the count, record the vote. The roll call shows 65 aye, 0 nay. House Bill 33 has passed the House. As a correction to title, hearing none, the House Bill 33 will be transmitted to the Senate. The gentleman from District 14.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that the remaining bills on the third reading calendar hold their place until Monday, February 4th.
You've all heard the request. Is there objection? Hearing none, so ordered. Without objection, the House will now advance to the 15th order of business. Announcements. The House is at the 15th order. Are there announcements? The gentleman from District 24.
Mr. Speaker, as a member of the House, I rise for the first time here at the House, and I'd like to explain a couple of things. First of all, I want to recognize that my senior member from District 24 has admonished me that I'm only allowed 12 bullets, and so I need to use them wisely, and I think that's an interesting concept for someone that's a Second Amendment protector. With that, today I'm privileged to have in the gallery 4 generations of my family, and I'd like to start introducing them with the youngest. As you can see up there, I have my youngest granddaughter. She's 4 years old. Her name is Laurelyn. And she is a student at the College of Southern Idaho. It's the Early Learning Laboratory. My other granddaughter stands to her side in the green up there, and she's 6 years old. She is a graduate of the College of Southern Idaho Learning Laboratory. She is standing next to her teacher that she brought to school to the gallery today, and she refers to her as Mrs. D. I refer to her as my daughter Tammy, and Tammy is a teacher, kindergarten teacher at Xavier Charter School. She's married to Ed Ditlison, my son-in-law, who actually does work at the College of Southern Idaho. And I'm just kind of working up, and I'd like to introduce my wife, Dee Dee. And she's been here before, but I didn't get a chance to introduce her. She is sitting next to my mother-in-law, Audrey Kinsman, who is also all Idaho residents. I'd like to give them a robust welcome.
Thank you, good gentlemen. Are there further announcements? Good lady from District 26.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Democratic Caucus will have a meeting at 12.
Further announcements? Clerk may read.
Following are the Standing Committee meeting announcements for this afternoon. Business Committee will not meet. Henderson Chairman. Commerce and Human Resources Committee will not meet. Harkin Chairman. Judiciary Rules and Administration Committee will not meet this afternoon. Wills Chairman. And Resources and Conservation Committee will not meet this afternoon. Denny Chairman. For Monday morning, Education Committee will meet Monday, February 4th at 9 a.m. East Wing, Room 41. DeMordaunt Chairman. Health and Welfare Committee will not meet Monday, February 4th. Wood Chairman. Revenue and Taxation Committee will meet Monday, February 4th at 9 a.m. East Wing, Room 42. Collins Chairman. And the State Affairs Committee will not meet Monday morning. Lurcher Chairman.
The House will now advance to the 16th order of business, adjournment. The House is at the 16th order. Good gentleman from District 14.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn until the hour of 11 a.m., Monday, February 4th, 2013.
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
You've all heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. And the House stands adjourned until the hour of 11 a.m., Monday, February 4th, 2013.